All right, so now we come to this chapter 9 about the Mahayana Buddhism. We are still reading the book, The Foundation of Buddhism. And we come to the page 244, Ideation or Ideas on the Vinyapti Matra and the Yogacara, which is, historically maybe a little later of the Shunyata school or this school of emptiness. Basically Mahayana, there are three main schools, I guess. When we say the school, there are three main systems. One of these is called the Shunyata system, the emptiness system, and one is the Yogacara system. And the other one is called the Tathagata Garbha system, the Lulai Zhan system. So there are three systems. But in general, actually, I think, people know that those who study Tibetan Buddhism certainly are really in favor of the first system, the Shunyata system. And the Yogacara, as somebody put it as like ideas on the system, though is very likely, and Chinese people are very proud of it, but I doubt that actually people are really take care of it in their own way. Most of the Chinese understand this the idea system in terms of the third system, the Tathagata Garbha, the Lulai Zhan system. But anyway, but it's good that when we read this book, even I think this is as a foundation of Buddhism, it's not going to have a very detailed of every, in the meaning, but it still it's kind of good that we have some basic understanding of the differences of the systems or what their emphasis or what they really consider as the important thing in this Mahayana. Okay. All right, now let's just come back to the page 244 on the third paragraph. So, yeah, we can just start to read the ideas on the Vinyapti Matra and the Yogacara. Yoga, actually best to say Yoga Achara, but usually we say Yogacara, mean those who are following or practicing the yoga. So mean Yoga Achara, okay? But when, as a sandhi, when you put it together as a compound, you read it, or Yoga Achara, but just say Yoga Achara, okay? Yoga Achara, okay? Yes. You want to start to read?
Okay. The basic understanding of this tradition is that the world we live in, the round of rebirth or samsara, is to be explained in its entirety in terms of the workings of the mind. The threefold universe is only ideas, Vinyapti Matra. The theories and teachings associated with this understanding are found in various sutras. The most important being the Sandiniya Mochana, the unraveling the mystery of thought, and the Lankavatra, the arrival in Lanka. They received their initial systematic exposition in the works of Asanga and Vasubandhu, such as Asanga's Mahayana Sangraha, Summary of the Great Vehicle, and Vasubandhu's Vinshaktika, 20 verses, and Trinshika, 30 verses, Triswabhava, Nirdesha, exposition of the three natures, and his commentary to the Madhyanta Vibhaga.
Vibhaga, sorry. I thought it's Madhyanta Vibhaga.
I thought it's Vibhaga too, yeah, but it's Vibhaga. I think it should be Vibhaga.
It's okay. I had to check that. I'm not sure now.
Yeah, okay. Analysis of the middle path. A work traditionally regarded as given, along with several others, to Asanga by the Bodhisattva Maitreya in the Tushita heaven. The work of these two thinkers was subsequently commented upon and elaborated in India by Stiyaramati, 6th century, and Dharmapala, 7th century, and in China by Paramartha, 6th century, and Xuanzang, who studied with Dharmapala at Nalanda in the 7th century and later wrote the Cheng Wei Si Lun, or Vijñapti Mantra, Custody, a commentary on Vasubandhu's Trinshika, incorporating the views of various Indian teachers.
No, mantra actually, when you, just to correct a little bit, Vinyapti mantra tha.
Vinyapti Mantra.
City. Yeah,
Oh,
mantra
okay.
tha. I will explain that later why. Anyway, all right, let me just say that first. Why we say mantra means only, but mantra tha means in the nature of only.
Oh.
Okay. 信 就是 in Chinese usually we translate the ta as ness. So it's still different. The merely the nature, the natureness of, the only natureness, or the merely natureness. Yeah. Or you should say, you could understand the nature of merely consciousness. City is the commentary. Okay, commentary on that. Okay. It's just remember when you read, when you learn, like before we learn the Yogacara, no Yogacara, this Sunyata, the emptiness school. You also have to remember the term Sunyata, because if you study Buddhism, when you say that like Nirvana or Nibbana, you definitely have to know the term, Because don't say, I never heard about the term Buddha or Arahant or the Nirvana or Dharma. Those are the terms you have to really retain the original word. The same thing when you study like the emptiness school, you must know the term Sunyata. Don't say, I never heard about Sunyata. In Buddhism, sometimes we don't translate that because, all translations cannot carry its own meaning, and it can contribute a lot of dispute as well in terms of translation. Or rendering differences. And the same thing of when we say about the Vinyapti mantra, the Vinyapti actually doesn't mean consciousness, but usually we understand as a consciousness. Vinyapti is mean 手表或者表. In Chinese, that's how you usually translate. So sometimes we say idea. What kind of thing that been presented to the consciousness, or what consciousness presented to you, something like that. So that is mean Vinyapti. Mantra mean only, merely, nothing else, but just that, just the Vinyapti. So usually we say Vinyapti mantra, but remember that another term, Vinyapti mantra that means we are going to discuss the nature of this Vinyapti. Or the mere consciousness. And that's called Vinyapti mantra and the Yogacara. But of course we know which school, like emptiness school. Tell me that what is the school name of the emptiness school in Sanskrit?
Madhyamaka.
Okay, Madhyamaka. So that means 中道, in Chinese, 中道. That is for the emptiness school. And then in the Mahayana, and what school for, emphasis on the Vinyapti mantra.
Yogacara.
Yeah, Yogacara, All right. And then there are a few texts, it's the same thing as the previous chapter that you have, somehow you don't remember, but you must at least have the concept or understanding that. There are a few texts very important when you want to learn this yoga achara school. The most important is Sandhi Nimochana and Lankavatara. And of course, in some of the literature treatises, sometimes we translate as some treatises written by few of the very important you could say scholar or the bodhisattva. That's how Chinese generally understand, uses bodhisattva. But maybe in English you should say like a scholar or expert on the Yogacara are the Asanga and the Vasubandhu. Of course there are more than that, but those are the primary. And then you have Asanga and Vasubandhu, and what kind of work that Asanga have done, it's on the Yogacara, it's the Mahayana Sangraha. We must know that Asanga should have written two Abhidhamma texts, but you could find that they carry those notions, but it's not. There's no such a like clear term about the Yogacara, but it's certainly he adds some other items on the Abhidhamma, and but you still can see there's this kind of Yogacara notions there. Okay. Anyone know what are the texts? The Abhidhamma, even in Chinese.
俱舍论
色大圣，
You mean Asanga?
Yeah.
点麻呀呢？
Yeah, 这个是色大乘论。
色大圣论。
No, I don't want to say the Chinese. I want to know the Sanskrit word. When you study in English, nobody will say the Chinese. Okay. Yeah. No, that's the one. That's explicit text for.
Dharma Samuchaya.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Now we also somehow we know that, and then Vasubandhus have very excellent work. You could say that the works that who's Vasubandhu basically? Shiqin, who's Vasubandhu? Anyone? Anything about Vasubandhu?
Was he the one with the supernatural power?
No.
Speaking the story? Or is that Asanga?
You was talking about Vasumitra.
Oh, okay.
You were talking about it's a record that's saying that
He can turn invisible and then...
yeah, if he want to attend Arahant. So that's Vasumitra. No. Anything about Vasubandhu? Okay, what's the relationship between the just at least know what's the relationship between the Vasubandhu and Asanga?
They're brothers. Yeah.
No, half brother, not brothers. The same mother but different fathers. Okay. And do you know that actually how many how the brothers they have? 4, I think. I remember it's 4.
I think 3 is more famous.
No, they 4. Yeah, but 4. All of them become a monk. All are famous actually. But
Same mother?
yeah, same mother. Anyway, Vasubandhu, I, as far as I remember, maybe the second or the third. I don't remember now. Anyway, it's fine. Just at least somehow we know Vasubandhu. He's a half brother of the Asanga. Okay, and where did he study? Where did it come from? Nobody knows. Okay, fine. But if you look at it, if I'm not wrong, because I didn't expect to ask this question. I didn't. It's been a long time. I didn't prepare that. But if I was not wrong, he actually is nowadays you could say he's a Pakistani. He's a Pakistan. Okay, but for sure that he studied in Pakistan, called Taxila in those days. Okay, okay. It's usually that's in Chinese is called Dongfan Sima. Okay, the Eastern teachers. Okay. And then later he went to the west side to study. Where?
Afghanistan?
Not in Afghanistan actually. It's in Kashmir, but include Afghanistan. Depend on how you. It's that depend how you define the Kashmir now, and it's very hard. It's a big topic too.
Gandhara.
No, Gandhara mean Gandhara refer to the Pakistani side. Yeah.
Okay.
Somehow, like in those days during the Asanga's time, they have 2 of the main places to study Abhidharma. Particularly, not only Abhidharma, but that's the most difficult subject is believed in those days, and they have to either go to the Taxila in a kind of place like in the Pakistan now, or you have to go to Kashmir. No, you are confused because when you look at the geography, the east side it doesn't mean the Indian east side, mean because the still study the Sarvastiva, the Abhidhamma is still the center is in the Kashmir. To Kashmir, that's east side of them. It doesn't. That's why they call them as the Eastern. But in a way, actually, sometimes they don't agree. They think they are not as good as they are the West side. Okay. And that was the reason why he studied there, and he was very good there. However, he thought he knew to know further what this West side thinking. He went to the West side. And there was many different stories. Some said he went there and just pretend he know nothing about Abhidhamma or something like that. And some say actually he went there and he clearly to say he's come from that side. And he graduated from there. Now he come to study in this place, but he was kind of looked out at first, you know. Yeah. 文人相亲嘛, huh? Okay, anyway, now what kind of work was Supanda have done? Vin Saptika, Trim Satika, and then there's one of the very important one, Three Swabhava Nididesa. Okay. But in China, I know that in Chinese general study, you start to study the Yogacara with the Vin Saptika or the Trim Sitika, 就是唯识20颂或者唯识30颂 in Chinese, right? But actually, I guess one of the most important work Vasubandhu have done is called the Three Swabhava Nididesa. Okay. Okay. And then he also read a commentary to Madhyanda Vibhaga. I think it's Vibhaga. I checked that. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then Xuanzang Fashi went to India. We all know that the purpose of Xuanzang Fashi, why he wanted to go to India or south in China, called Xiyu, right? To study, because anyway, there are lots of sources still you couldn't find in China at the time. So only when you go to the land and you maybe have a Greek library, so you can have the whole pictures of the Buddhism. Particularly said that his interest in the of Brajaparamita. However, he was certainly think that if you want to study the whole thing about the Yogacara school, certainly he has to go to India because, I mean, for many reasons. Okay, you need a teacher and also you need the sources there. So he went there, and according to Xuanzang Fashi, he went to study under the Dhammadipa. You know, that's why one of the really important treatises, if you study this Yogacara, almost like a compulsory reading, is called in Chinese system, and which is only in Chinese. It's a Chen Wei Shi Lun. Okay. Okay. But someday we translate it Vinyapti Matra Siddhi. Okay. And then, okay. I guess that's basically that's the common the basic literature we know with regard to the teachings of the Yogacara. Okay. All right, next one. Then we can read the next paragraph.
The teachings of this school, in certain respects, represent a reworking of particular Abhidhamma themes in response to the Prajna Paramita and Madhyamaka teaching of emptiness. The Sammadhinirmochana Sutra thus presents its own teachings as a third and a definitive turning of the wheel of the Dhamma, following the Buddha's provisional teachings of the Four Truths in the deer park outside Benares, and of emptiness in the manner of the Prajnaparamita, that is, for the Sammadhinirmochana.
Nirimochana.
Nirimochana.
More is a long vowel, Nirimo.
Samadhi.
Samdi Nirimo.
Sammadhinirmochana. The presentation of emptiness in the Prajnaparamita is too prone to the wrong sort of interpretation by the unwary and needs further explication.
No, no explication. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, it started to say that actually the school, what is the main reason? It's actually, you have to understand, it's almost like, when we study this emptiness school, the Madhyamaka school, certainly there a lot of disagreement among the Abhidharma system. But here, it's almost, the Yogacara almost serving as reworking of the particular Abhidharma theme, okay? Respond to the Vajraparamita. Everyone knows the term Vajraparamita, right? Mm-hmm. Right? And the Madhyamaka teaching. Now, that's one of the sutra called Sandinimochana Sutra. What is that in Chinese? 解释密经. So it serves as the third sutra being preached by the Buddha, right? But it's good that he said third, not the first. Okay. Well, tell me that which is the first sutra preached by the Buddha? Everybody know. Supposed to be know. Yeah, I want to know the English or Sanskrit or. Anyone? If you don't know Sanskrit, fine. English, I want to know the English. Any translation, just.
The Dharma Well Turning Sutra.
Okay, good. At least, because since this class is conducted in English, we can add the Chinese. But, okay, 转法轮经, the Dhammadipa Sutra, okay. And the second sutra, with the Buddha talk, that's for clear. Those are no any objection, because even Tibetans say the same thing, okay, Tibetan school. Even though Chinese, when you study Chinese Buddhism, maybe they don't mention that much, but every master knows. I mean, if you are old master, those who came to China, probably Buddhist. What is that's the first sutra the Buddha teach. And the second sutra? Anatta, yeah, Wu O Jina. That's why we had to mention that as the second sutra. Why? Oh, today's like examination. Everybody gets so nervous. No, I mean, it's a good point that you must know why.
Because some of the ascetics after hearing the discourses attending the Arahat.
Not some, all. The Dhammadipa Sutra, after the Buddha delivered that sutra, so Gondanya become the first fruit, right? Sotapanna, right? And Srotapana. And then the second, then the Buddha still keep on speak about the Anatta Sutta. So, and then while he was preaching them, here the preaching is not just sit there listen, actually is involving teaching, and then they are doing their meditation, because it's very clear, the stories say that when he preached that, so 3 months go for the alms, for the 6 people, because including the Buddha, there were 6 persons, right? They had to go for the alms, and the other 3, of course the Buddha is not sitting here and taking and talking. I mean, they are doing meditation. He's conducting how he can see. That's what I mean by teaching them, the Anatta Sutta, the Sutta of the selfless or selflessness, okay? And up to that, 5 recluses or ascetics become Arahant, okay, right? Okay, this is say that actually then the Buddha third time, the third sutra they teach is the Sandinimochana Sutra, okay? All right. Okay, if any comment, no, and we can just keep on reading out. Yeah, the next paragraph.
The Prajna Paramita and Madhyamaka point out that the logic of dependent arising demands that dharmas cannot be thought of as the absolute, ultimate existence of the universe, impugning away the conventional truth of existence of persons and cells and seeing the underlying dharmas. we do not arrive at the ultimate existence, but only at another, perhaps deeper layer of conventional truth. The ultimate truth is that of dharmas, too, are empty of their own existence. From the Yogacara perspective, however, this is to tell us what things are ultimately not. But it is to tell us much too little about what things are and, crucially, how they come to appear other than the way they are. Thus, while Madhyamaka was primarily concerned to critique a particular analysis of the ontology of a dharma, Yogacara returns to giving a positive account of the workings of the mind in terms of dharmas in a new ontological framework. As the name of the school indicates, yoga practice. Its approach is perhaps especially based in meditation, and the writings of Asanga and Vasubandhu showed a special interest in calm meditation. There are two basic parts to the account of mind given in Yogacara. The first concerns the 8 types of consciousness vijnana, and the second of the 3 nature trees, swabhava. Let us turn to these in turn.
Yeah, okay. Right, I think that we understand this paragraph well, guess so. And then we can go to the next, the early Buddhist thought.
Okay. Early Buddhist thought analyzed consciousness as consisting of 6 basic types, corresponding to the 5 senses and the mind, building on the traditions of the earlier Abhidharmikas, Yogacharan thinkers give what amounts to a rather more complex account of the 6 mind consciousness, focusing on what are in effect the deeper layer of the mind. The active or surface level of the mind continues to be seen as comprising 6 types of consciousness. Our primary awareness of 5 types of sense data and our conscious thought, which for human beings are mostly related to the former in various ways, but underpinning these types of active consciousness are 2 further types of consciousness, which are crucial in creating the world as we ordinarily experience it. The first is the defiled mind, Kisatamanas, so called because it is afflicted with 4 basic defilements: the view of individuality, the concept I am, clinging to self, and the delusion. The object of this defilement, what the defiled mind in some way takes as the self, is the 8th conscious, the stored consciousness, Alaya Vijnana. Below the threshold of consciousness proper, the stored consciousness is the particular repository of all the seeds sown by the defilements of a being's active consciousness. It is the result of a being's past karma, the accumulation of all past tendencies, strong or weak, to greed, hatred, and the delusion. As such, the stored consciousness is also the condition for the perpetuation of these defilements in present and future active consciousness. It thus continually interacts with active consciousness according to the principle of dependent arising. Of course, the stored consciousness is not a self, a thing in itself. What in our subconscious, the defiled mind takes for a self is merely an underlying mass of ever-changing causes and the conditions arising and falling, but which nonetheless, as it flows on, maintains a certain pattern which gives it the appearance of relative identity. The store consciousness is thus the underlying basis and the support asraya of our conscious lives, the largely hidden heart of our personalities.
Okay, all right. Any comment or question? It's a long paragraph. Now, who's online now?
I have no idea.
I see. You sure there's somebody online?
I don't know. Joe is supposed to be on. Nope, there's no one. She might join later. I mean, the question is why is it important they need to create they need to separate the mind into those two additional components? Like what?
Did they explain later? No, it looks like no.
Yeah, because for me, the previous model of Abhidhamma kind of works this out in a certain way. Of course, it doesn't explain certain things, but what is the main purpose of introducing those two additional, like, level of consciousness? Or
That actually explained very well in, especially the explanation why. But I think it's very easier to understand why we have these 7 consciousness, the manas, or sometimes we call that as just now the Krista manas. Okay, and then but it's maybe that's why I put it that there's more like ontological kind of consciousness being created, at least in this school, Yogacara school. That is Alaya and Vijnana. So it's I think it's the first chapter of the Chengwei Suran, or second. It remains the first chapter. So that's a whole chapter is defending why this consciousness is being or added in the as a consciousness in Yogacara school. One other example I can just say. I mean there are lots, but I don't for the time being I just say one. Now, you know that in Buddhism we say about somebody have this meditation state called Nirodha Samapatti. Mean you emerge yourself, meditate on a certain stage that you up to the stage that you have no any feelings, right? That's why sometimes we translate as Vedana. I forgot other term. There are 2 terms. Basically mean that meditation stage means when you emerge, when you enter the stage, it's not the stage of nothingness, but the stage of that your feelings and your mind action is stopped, right? And then, however, and it's believed that when you come to that meditation state, it's believed to be the most advanced stage in samadhi. But in order to reach that stage, you must have a very good vipassana, and you must have a very good attainment, but that is arguable in the Sanskrit sources or Chinese. It's quite different from the Pali. I'm not going to talk that in the detail now, but generally mean understand you must have very high attainment. You must able to enter the jhana with your vipassana, and then you have to be enter the jhana, the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, and then you have the 4 what we call the arupa jhana. I mean the 4 formless jhana. And then you reach to the 9th jhana, which is only very few people could do that. You must be really, really good and everything. Anyway, the thing it is that certainly is one of the common in Buddhism's literature. Everybody would praise that kind of jhana, that kind of power, because that shows that you must be good attainment, and also show that your vipassana must be very powerful, and certainly your samadhi is really powerful. All this must be all together. At that stage, you don't have feelings, you don't have consciousness, but then you still can arise from your samadhi. Then how do we explain that? So according to this Yogacara school, that is because there's a store consciousness exists. if you understand that as early Buddhism say, we only have 6 consciousness, for sure your functional. We know that in samadhi, you don't base on eye consciousness, your physical consciousness, and we don't use that 5 consciousness already. The consciousness that take place within the 5 cores, right? Yang, Abhisarsan. And the last one, the consciousness of the mind. That means what we call a consciousness. But if your mind thought is stop functioning and your feelings stop functioning, but you could argue that there's one consciousness only exists, that means your awareness there only. But what trigger you that you could able, let's say, if you're in the first jhana, you want to enter the second jhana, that's how commonly understand. You certainly must have the mind still action, even though the mind action is very pure and simple, but still it should be working, right? But it stopped there. Now what can treat you that, okay, now you want to emerge yourself from that meditation? It must have something more than that. So that's one of the arguments they put. The stored consciousness. That's one of the. And second, the dependent origination, the way they understand the dependent origination, that's how the Chinese now they study that system. Usually they explain the dependent origination, they explain the consciousness. You remember the dependent origination, the first one is the list of the dependent origination. The first one is what? Avidya, right? The ignorance. The second, due to ignorance, what exists? Formation exists, means the action exists. And due to the action exists, what exists? Consciousness exists, right? And due to the consciousness, what exists? Nama-rupa exists, means the name and the form. Now, if you say understand the consciousness as the 8 consciousness, it's much easier to explain why is the Nama-rupa. Otherwise, why don't the Buddha say the consciousness, next one should be the rupa? Due to the consciousness exists, then the rupa exists. But of course, I mean, this is not necessarily, I don't mean this is necessarily the picture. In early Buddhism do not understand that way, okay? I think I did explain that in the past, but I think people didn't understand what I'm going to say. I said that because I tell you actually that's how Chinese understanding what actually Namarupa and the consciousness and Namarupa, the due to the consciousness arises, Namarupa arise. The way they understand in the sutra is not necessarily as the Yogacara explained, okay? But anyway, certainly they have a good argument. They say that if you understand that consciousness as the stored consciousness, that's much easier to understand the whole sentence, also the whole link. And as well as also, that is much easier to explain what does it mean by when that, usually this kind of 12 link been explained in terms of three temporal, the past, the present, and the future. So usually we understand the past. Let's say you did something wrong. No. You were ignorance, and with the action, that's what we call the first 2 link, right? Due to the ignorance, there's the formation, and then because of that formation, because of ignorance and the formation, so formation. What everyone understand what is a formation? Hello, everyone is so busy. What is that formation? Formation means the action. That means either the bodily action or verbal action or mental action, right? Then you have the consciousness. And what take part that want to reborn is that the consciousness, and the consciousness is a stored consciousness. So, according to this...
in a way, they are treating that consciousness as almost like a catalyst, or like a seed, or something that...
No, it's a store. Not a seed, on the contrary, it's a store.
It's a store. So
kind of like a space, big space. Right, if you want to put it in like a material way.
So it itself does not involve with the action, but provides condition for the action to arise.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why when you learn the stored consciousness, you have to remember the 5 definition. Changing all the time. The other one is like you say, it doesn't move. it move only the six consciousness move. Okay. But it have to be impermanent as well. All right. Any other comment or question? Do you have a better picture now? That doesn't mean the whole picture, but at least.
In using the two terms, one is using manas, the other one use vijnana. What is there any particular reason?
Usually because we understand, that's a good point. That's the reason also why a lot of people do research on that. Usually when we translate the word consciousness, we based on, depends on the context we translate the term. But we have three terms that takes very similar meanings, right? Jitta, xin, in Chinese, manas, yi, right? And the third one is a consciousness, shi, understand? But generally, it's interesting this is kind of like become, I don't know how to forget in English, lexicon is a kind of lexicon question. It's more like, usually we say citta, we refer to like we have this kusala citta, akusala citta, mean you have a wholesome mind, unwholesome mind, right? When you use mana, sometimes we always carry the intention. So he have this kind of manas, the mano, right? The intention. We always carry intention. When we always use the word, I'm just saying in general, right? When we use vijnana in Pali, vijnana in Sanskrit, the consciousness, 就是 so we always try to just define what the 是 is, where is it? Or you could understand it's like awareness or the knowing state, right? So in other words, if manas is always carried with understanding a certain, always using the term manas, carry with the intention. So it's always, we know that our big problem, the ego comes is usually the intention and it was wrong. Or the intention itself actually by nature is defined. Okay, understand? Say that I have an intention to be anger. I have anger intention. But why I have anger intention is by itself because I have this kind of unwholesome mind as a kind of fundamental is there, right? Okay. However, but then the term it's here been used. Usually we say that as a klista manas, it's a 污染嘛. However, but just for the short term, we just say manas. But we must understand this manas not necessarily as the identical to the, yes, in a way, yes, identical to the early Buddhist manas, but to be precise, you have to say klista manas. Okay. Okay. All right. Alaya, this is a term actually you do find in Agama also. However, in alaya originally means the word, if you look at as a term, alaya just simply means like a joyous, happy. In Agama or in Nikaya, in the Buddhist text. Okay, all right. If no any comment, any question, comment? No, we can just read that first. If we can discuss more later. Yeah. I like this book actually in a way. I mean, lots of people don't know. It's because you don't have to read so detailed. At least you get a really succinct understanding the whole school. Have the big structure first. All right.
Very simplified.
Yeah. All right. Please, the next paragraph.
The world of experience has three different natures, three Shwabhava. Clearly, something is going on. We have experiences. The problem, according to the Yogacara, is that what we experience is ourselves as conscious subject enjoying a world of objects that exist out there independently from us. This is experience in imagined parikapita.
The Kalapita. Kala.
Karpita.
Mm-hmm.
So that I is not spelled out.
No I, L.
I, the E.
Parikalapita.
Yeah, parikapita. For the world of experiencing subject or grasper and experienced object or things grasped is in fact a world of unreal imagining, of things that do not ultimately exist. Both the grasper and the things grasped are in fact ideas, pieces of information, vignapti, thrown up by the traces and seeds deposited in the stored consciousness. This is experience in its dependent, paratantra, nature. The operation of the eight kinds of consciousness ultimately consists of nothing more than the flow of ideas, vignapti matra, arising in dependence upon each other, by force of a long-standing habit throughout beginning with samsara. We have imagined in the dependent flows of pieces of information a world of independent subjects and independent objects. But when, as Buddhas, we understand the complete absence of the duality of subjects and objects in the dependent nature of experience, then experience appears in its perfected nishpana nature. In crude summary, the imagined nature is the unawakened mind. The perfected nature is the awakened mind, while the independent nature is the common basis.
Okay. This certainly is a big topic, because this is a topic to explain is what does this tree swabhava, sanzhixing, is about. And that's certainly, if you read, if you are in early time intending, say in China, of course, or this is, if you know that, or you can explain that, or you can, well, that certainly is a big thing. Why don't we read the next paragraph and then we can discuss a little bit further, because it's still related to the same topic. Anyone? Do you want to read it? Yeah, yeah.
As the realization of the Buddhist yogi at the culmination of the Buddhist path, the perfected nature consisting the non-conceptual knowledge, nirvikalpaka jhana.
Not jhana, jhana.
Jhana, which is empty.
Just pronounce it like Y, if you cannot. Yeah, just pronounce it like Y.
Which is empty of any sense of experiencing subject and experienced object. Its attainment is marked by the turning around of the basis. Asraya
Read.
Rarity. A revolution at the epicenter of one's being, whereby all defilements are cut off, and the imagined nature is no longer imposed upon the dependent nature, which appears instead as the perfected nature. As a result of this turning around of the basis, the seeds in the stored consciousness cease to function as the basis for the imagined nature. What appears as the contradiction at the heart of reality is seen through. Certainly, the process of imagining the duality of subject and object existed, but since the subject and object are not in the end to be found, the process is empty, and yet this emptiness itself is something that is definitely found. The middle way is to be found in the way reality is somehow existent, non-existent, and yet existent at the same time. Ultimately, reality is thus characterized not as an absolute something, either mind or matter, but simply as the way things are, thusness. Tata. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone want to explain that? Or make a comment? We don't have to say in the detail, but we must still remember in the early paragraph, let me see where. Yeah, on page 245, the second paragraph, they say, the teaching of this school, that means the Yogacara school, in certain respect, represent a revoking of particular Abhidharma theme in response to the Prajaparamita and Madhyamaka teaching of emptiness, right? So, and also I think he also mentioned that also, let me see, where is it? Yeah, and the next paragraph, the third paragraph, the Prajaparamita and Madhyamaka point out that the logic of dependent arising demands the Dharma cannot be thought as an absolute, right? And ultimate existence of the universe, in peeling away the conventional truth of existence of persons and self and seeing the underlying Dharma, we do not arrive at ultimate existence, but only another. I think he did say that, he say, so in other words, the ultimate truth is that Dharma too are empty of their own existence, right? This is the Madhyamaka school. But Yogacara school is not going to refute, not disagree with that, but the problem is, from the Yogacara perspective, however, this is to tell us what things are ultimate not, right? But it is not tell us much too little about what things are, and crucially, how they come to appear, other than the way they are, okay? Understand? In Madhyamaka school, they're trying to tell you what they are not like this, they are not like this, they are not like that, they are not like this. So you reach to the emptiness. But they didn't tell what are they, okay? And how it comes like that, you know. Yeah. So that's what the Yogacara school trying to resolve that problem. Okay. That's why you read this paragraph, have a long difficulty, yeah. Because this discuss about what they are and how they are come, how they arrive this so-called the state of emptiness, okay. And in order to understand that respect, so we have to understand the three different nature. That's what we call the three swabhava, 三自性. And the three swabhava are it's the content of three bhava is parikalpita. I think it's called 依他起性,
Imagined nature.
Yeah, it's called imagination. And then you have paratantra, paratantra. 就是偏执所具性 because kalpita mean 偏执所具偏执所具性 and paratantra mean 依他 because para mean other, tantra mean theory. Based on other, you come up with a theory or understanding what's a certain thing, right? So parikalpita is as a first and paratantra as a second, and then the third one is nibbana, 圆成自性, nibbana. Okay. So, and then understand Yogacara is very important to understand the dependent origination. It's the same thing as the Madhyamaka school, and also one of the big theme of the Yogacara is the three natures. That's what we just mentioned, and the opposite of it, okay, and is the inverted counterparts of the three natures, okay. And in between, we must also have to understand that the turning around of the basis, astraya pravritti. When someone, and you need to explain, when someone like a Buddha or like the Arahant and the Buddhas, particularly the Buddha, of course, especially Mahan emphasis, and then reach this kind of state of emptiness, and then come to attend the what they call this, the perfect nibbana. and how this consciousness reflect, or how this consciousness operate, so that they have this wisdom all the time, right? In other words, mean the state of the emptiness you could stay, but then you still need to explain that kind of unique when someone have reached that kind of state of the perfect state, still able to come to see or come to based on what, or which is not based on, no, dependent on what kind of situation someone could reach the emptiness. That neither empty or not empty kind of concepts. So this is how they understand as the ultimate truth. And that's also understand there's no two ends, mean the extreme, that's what mean the middle path, right? So it's very ontological consciousness. We started to discuss this, the very unique of consciousness, how that consciousness operates, and what makes us become defined and what makes us become non-defined, you know. Okay. Any comment, any question?
For me, personally, I think this school would focus a lot more into the mechanism of the phenomena that we are experiencing in the world. And whereas Madhyamaka school, I'm not very familiar with that, but for me, it seems to be more of the logical argument.
Yeah.
Comparing to this.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this, in my internal meditation, we can use this to kind of flush out some, like sometimes we encounter some experience in meditation, and from this type of study, it seems to be able to explain like what we're experiencing. But if we are pure Madhyamaka school, then we're just like, oh, don't focus on that. Everything's empty. Don't worry about that. You know, everything's impermanent. Don't focus on everything. For me, I think this is certainly a school that focuses more on to the meditation and attainment aspect.
I guess that somehow they have that kind of feeling too. But this is not to say that Madhyamaka Madhyamika are not doing meditation, but certainly it looks like they do carry a certain notion on that. Otherwise, why they want to call themselves as a yoga acharya? The practices of the yoga, I mean the practices of meditation, you know. So they must have certain, kind of like they try to emphasize, we back to this, discuss what really insight in meditation, even in terms of the realization of emptiness, how that take place, you know, and how that realization of emptiness as the ultimate truth could serve as the pure consciousness, or something like that. But I mean, I don't want to use a pure consciousness. If I use the pure consciousness, now I'm back to the Tathagata school already, I mean the Lulai Zhang. So, but anyway, unfortunately, I still influenced by the Chinese philosophy. The Chinese always trying to put it that way, but I need to put it that way. And they don't say it this way, okay? And Yogacara school definitely don't use that. I had to apologize that. So that's why something we need to be very careful when you try to represent, you are speaking in terms of the Abhidhamma or speaking in terms of, or Yogacara school speaking in terms of the Madhyamaka. They still, when you hear the language, you certainly know very well already. So they try to represent that kind of state. Anyway, just for the explanation's sake, okay. don't take that the pure consciousness. But that's also explained, in the sutras or in a certain way. So you said that someone, when they realize, will have that kind of realization, they come to understand the Dharma is such way. The Dharma is not the other way. The Dharma is the Tha. It's such like that, so and so forth. That's why they call it the Tha. Okay. All right. I mean, we're not going to involve in the detail unless you really want to read. As I say, I would suggest you, if you really understand this part, you go back to read that one of the important treatises written by the Asanga, 3 Swabhavadi Desa, right? Okay, why don't we go next paragraph? Let me just, actually we should take a little break now, and then we can resume the class later, in about 10 minutes, yeah. All right, see you later.